first thing in the morning again, and today the beds are square, they're all in place. Now I have to put the ground cover down, and I want to tuck it under, so this is what I needed to do so I could tuck it under, and that way it's secured to the ground. So what I did was I lifted up the bed and I put a 4x4 here. That way there's a space under it. I did the same thing down that side, and I slid the ground cover under, only a little bit because I want that there to be ground, so the roots, they're not going to go down that deep, but if they did, it's okay. I'm going to put cardboard down. And right over here, you see that yellow line? Well, that yellow line is even with the outer post. And there's the 4x4 there for the space. So I have this much here on the inside, and that's going to be just all compost in there, and then I'll build it up. So that's what that looks like. I ran a stringer, measured from the house out, and then from the stringer over. And I used a template to get all these evenly spaced, because remember, I want my cart to be able to go through there. And I want my cart to be able to go through all of the insides, so I can haul everything in the cart and don't have to lift. So this is what it's looking like. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some fence posts, and I'm going to go ahead and bang them into the ground like that. And that's going to keep these sides from pushing out. I'm going to put one there and one on each quarter. So there's going to be 6 of them on each bed. I may even put one in the middle here. We'll see how that goes. Okay, so anyway, let me continue. I just wanted to show you that I'm tucking it under. I'm going to pull out the 4x4 and set it back down. That way, when I'm working in the aisles, if it wasn't tucked under, it would like crinkle up and move, and I'd rather have it tucked under. Okay, so I laid down the ground cover and I tucked it under. Now I'm putting in some fence posts, metal, right over here to keep the sides from flexing outward. Just some old scrap ones I had around. I pushed them into where they're sturdy, and I'm doing it with a fence post driver because my posts are a little long. And these are the scrap pieces I had laying around that I'm using. I'm going to need more, so I'm on the lookout for some more fence posts. But that should get me this bed and that bed and maybe one more. So the ground cover is tucked in over here. It's not tucked in over there yet. I'm going to do one bed at a time. Then I got to put in my end sheet metal pieces, which are right over here. And remember, I did that gap so they slide in. So once I have that done, I'm going to go ahead and do that one. And then I'm going to go ahead and start filling this one up and that one up. And then I'll have 2 beds that are prepped and ready to go. And I'll be able to finish those up whenever I have time. But I really want to get these right here done and filled in. So let me get at it. Okay, so I got everything all set. And I'm going to put in some nice composted wood chips. Spread it out on the bottom. Then I'm going to put in a little bit of horse manure. Then I'm going to cut down some green Mexican sunflower and just keep layering it up. So let's get going. Okay, so what I'm doing is, this is one tractor bucket. I'm putting the coarser stuff on the bottom, and then I'm going to take some stuff from my hugelkultur dryer and keep coming up. Once I'm about halfway, then I'm going to start putting the greener stuff. But one bucket, and I'll spread it out. And then one bucket of everything, so it's an even amount going through the whole bed layers. Also, by putting the coarser wood chips on the bottom, it'll keep any compost from washing out. Okay, so that's pretty much level. Probably filled up about 4 inches of it. So let me go see what else I'm going to get to put down in there right now. Okay, so here's a bucket of some nice composted horse manure. I brought the horse manure in when it was fresh, right out of the horse. There was hay mixed in with it from the stalls. I had it over there for a long time. Now, when I take it in my hand like this, if you look, it looks like pure dirt, composted horse manure, and it's cool. It's not hot at all. If this was still hot, I would not use it. So I'm going to dump this in here, and I'm going to smooth it out. Okay, so once again, the whole pile is cool, or I wouldn't be using it. But one thing I want to mention is this. I was able to get my tractor in on this side and dump it, which makes things a lot easier. But that's because there's nothing on this side. Once I get over here to these beds, I can't get the tractor in, so I'm going to have to bring the horse manure over, put it into my cart it up the aisles. That's why I made those aisles nice and wide. And when I bring it in, I'm going to have to shovel it out. So the remainder are going to be harder. This one's easier, so I'm putting it on video. I'll show you what it looks like with the cart. I mean, you really got to pull that cart up. But the topic is, that's why I made the aisles wide enough to pull your cart in. Otherwise, you'd have to start out there and do a shovel, a shovel, a shovel. So okay, so when you're raking it, how do you know that there's not a higher amount over here and a lower amount over there, and you have it nice and level? Go ahead and raise your hand, let me see. I'm just joking. What you do is, on the side of the sheet metal, there's lines. So just look at that line on both sides. And pretty much you can see that it's level. Okay, so I got composted chips, It was still a little hot, but they're on the bottom. They'll cool down. Nice, cool, composted, pure horse manure mixed in with a little hay and alfalfa. So I think I want some green in here now. Or maybe I'll cut up some sticks, some branches from trees with leaves and put that in. Then I want to go around and cut down my Mexican sunflower and lay that in there. So let me get going. Okay, so I'm in front of some ice cream bananas. They're still green, they're not done. They're almost ready to turn yellow, hopefully pretty soon. But right over here is some Mexican sunflower. Now if you remember these are the ones that uprooted. Actually every single Mexican sunflower plant that I had, since they were like 20-something foot tall, the wind just pushed them over and they uprooted. So I chainsawed them about 1 foot to 2 feet off the ground, folded it back over, packed it down, and look, they're doing great. But what I want to do right now is I want to cut some Mexican sunflower so I could go ahead and put those in the beds. Okay, so I'm going to cut those down and then put them on my tractor. First I got to go ahead and get my chainsaw going. Okay, so you got the point. So I'm going to go ahead and cut down a lot more of these and lay these down in the bed. When I'm done, I'll be back. Okay, so I went ahead and chainsawed a bunch of it that are going to go in there. However, I'm just going to put the green in there and I'm going to let this dry out, because if you look, you see all these bumps on here? Well, each one of those bumps could turn into a root and then turn into another Mexican sunflower, and I don't want them growing up through my garden. So I'm going to put these right down on the side and only use the green. So let me get some chopped up and we'll put it in there. Okay, so I got everything that was in that bucket. I chopped it all off of the stems or the stalks or the tree trunk, because you see the nodes on them. I went ahead and put it all out inside of there. Okay, now the pile I have over there is green and fresh on the inside because I just cut it. But once it gets older, it's going to be like this, and you can just break them up and put them in there. I think I'm going to put another layer of horse manure on this right now. So I got chips, horse manure, Mexican sunflower. Maybe I'll put a little bit more chips on it and then some horse manure, and I'll work it on up. Let me do that. I'm going to get a layer of chips and then rake it in. Okay, so I got this from my hugelkultur area. I had to steal it from there. It's nice and cool. It's not hot at all, so I'm going to rake it out. Okay, so I just put a nice small layer on there. Just enough to cover it up. Now I'm going to go get some more horse manure and put some more horse manure down here. Okay, so that looks good enough. Nice and level. So now I'm going to go ahead and layer some more. When I bring it up to the level I want, since there's green in there, it's probably going to fall down about an inch, but that's okay. That's what I wanted to do. It's going to be a lot of microbes in here, a lot of worms in here, a lot of grubs in here. They're just going to come up from the other compost that I have below because they're in there already, and they'll come right up through the bottom into here. Okay, so I went ahead and got some really good composted chips that turned into topsoil from the hugelkultur area. Now I'm going to go ahead and rake it out. When I walk on it, it's nice and soft. But anyway, this is looking good. I probably got about another 8 inches to go to the top. So probably about 6 inches I'll put in there because it's going to settle a little bit. This is it for today, but I'll put some more horse manure in it. And then I'll put some more of this on top of the horse manure. And then I'll put a little bit of fresher chips on top when I get it. And that would be done. Now I got to repeat it with the other 3. And I'm not going to be able to do it with the tractor, so it's going to be a lot more work. So I'm going to wait for a cooler, overcast day. So with that said, back at you. Okay, hey, so I'm out here first thing in the morning again. It's an overcast and foggy morning, a little chilly, but continuation from yesterday. I finished my raised beds and now it's time to compost them. So I'm filling them up. You seen the beginning of the video how I went ahead and put everything in there. So now what I want to do is I want to put microbes in there so they start growing and multiplying and composting and eating up the soil. When the plants grow, it goes right to the roots. So there's a couple ways that I do it. I'm going to start out the easy way since I don't have anything else prepared right now, but I am going to prepare some homemade liquid compost tea with microbes in it. But for right now, I have some that I purchased that I use in the garden all the time and it works really well. So I'm going to go ahead and put some of that in there. But before I do, I'm going to go over there and cut down some more Mexican sunflowers. Down below in here, you notice I put the whole sunflowers all the way down on the bottom, laid out. So now the ones that I'm gonna cut, I'm gonna strip off all the leaves, and after I put microbes in there, I'm gonna lay all the leaves up on top so they can start breaking down. And that's sort of gonna be like my weed barrier and my compost at the moment on top. And that's gonna get broken down, it's gonna get watered into the soil, and Mexican sunflower is great for plants. So with that said, let me go ahead and cut some down and bring it over. We'll go ahead and put all the leaves on top, and we'll take it from there. Okay, so today I just want the leaves, so I'm just gonna machete some off. And I'm just gonna throw them down in a pile. Okay, now that I got a nice pile, let's go on over there and we'll strip them. Okay, so for the most part, I got the upper part which has all the leaves, and it's relatively simple, it's time consuming. Just go ahead and strip off all the leaves, like that. I could put these in there, but since it's towards the top, it's gonna be harder for me to plant, so I'll put these over there. They'll brown, they'll get brittle, and I'll put those on the bottom of another bed. By the way, the deer love eating these, but I got so many. You can see where they eat it here and there as they graze, but they really don't do any damage. Even though I feel like throwing these whole things in there, I'm just gonna strip them off just to make things easier on me, because I already have whole ones. Now I could throw this whole thing in there like this. It's just, you know, when I dig, I could spread it. It'll still be in the ground. I have other plans though right now. So once I have that coated in there and filled up, the sun is gonna bake it. They're gonna turn brown. Like that. It's wet in the morning, but when they get crunchy, that's when they'll start going into the ground. But now on top of that, I'm gonna get leaves, not this type of leaf, regular forest leaves. I'm gonna rake them up and I'm gonna burn them into ash. I'm gonna put the ash into a barrel, put water in it, and then I'm gonna water the ash in there, and the minerals are going to go down. It's going to be part of my process. Plus I have some other things: liquid comfrey Bakken 14, liquid Mexican sunflower. And when I rake up the leaves, under the leaves where it's almost like soil, the microbes are alive in there. If you see little white streaks, it looks like spider webs in there, they're really microbes growing. And I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna spread that in here. Although a lot of this compost that I took from my hugelkultur area, it already had some of that in there. And I'm gonna go around this morning with a little shovel and scoop up all the slime mold that's on top of some of my chips. I'm gonna put that in there. And I'm gonna kind of fidge around in the chips, and if I see white straggly lines under there, I'm going to grab some of that and throw that on there. So for now, let me go ahead and get this done, and I'll get back to you. Okay, so over here I got a pot and there's no holes in it, and over here I got a bucket or another pot, and I found the mushrooms, so I'm going to put that in there. Here's some slime mold that is like a day or so old, so I'm going to put that in there like that. Don't need that. Here's another mushroom, and right over here, this is real powdery. You could probably see the powder. See all that powder flying around? Well, that was slime mold that started to go down and already form microbes. So it's powdery right now. Look at all that powder. You see all that coming up? Look at that. That's why I'm putting it into this bucket so it all don't fly away. Look at all that powder. Whew, look at all that. That's all microbes. That's really good stuff right there. That will knock it down. Okay, also in here, you see all that? I'm gonna wash that off. Okay. Now this yellow is fresh slime mold. Look at that, all slimy. That's going in there. Okay, the reason why I'm putting the water in there is I'm going to create a compost tea of live, living microbes. But you see all that powder? That's microbes flying away. So if I put that all over the bed, a lot of it will fly away. But when you make a liquid fertilizer and you pour it in there, those microbes are going to go down into the soil, and this soil is going to become alive. It's already alive, but it's going to be supercharged. It splashed on me, my glasses, and my face. So as soon as I'm done here, I'm going to go inside and wash all that off. Or I'll wake up in the morning with vines growing out of me. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to push it down, try to get everything all wet. Look at all that. Trying to put a fine mist on there to knock it all down and get it all wet. Okay, there's a lot of it in here. The only thing I could do is let it sit and try to soak. Once all that gets to where it's not flying around, I'm going to put it out on the bed. So this is how you make microbes. You can let it soak overnight. Main thing is you want it wet and you want to put it in the bed. Now when I do that, I'm going to put these leaves over it so when it dries out it doesn't fly all over. I want it to soak in. So okay, with that said, let me continue stripping these leaves and I'll get back to you. Okay, so I got a little pile over there. I got a lot more to do. So I want to spread them out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead. I got a watering bucket over here and I got some Agrothrive. Now Agrothrive creates microbes that live in the soil. Besides the microbes that are already living that I make myself, which I'll put over all the leaves. It's not ready yet. So I'm going to take some of this just so you can see how much I'm putting in. That's all I have there, is just a little bit. Then go ahead and fill this up. I like putting it in first and filling it up so it mixes as it's filling. Okay, I got a little shower head on it. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and water, just like this. This is where, on this row and that row is where I'm going to do all my planting. So of course, that's where I'm going to put the bulk of it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Mexican sunflower and I'm just going to go ahead and spread it out all over so it wilts and then goes into the soil. Okay, like I said, I have a whole bunch more. I'm going to Agrothrive that little section where it was, and I'm going to fill all this in. And then my microbes by tomorrow should be all nice and wet, and then I'm going to put that over this as well. And there's going to be other stuff on top of this too. I'll get back to you. Okay, so I went ahead and took all that Mexican sunflower and stripped everything off of the vines or the stalks. I went ahead and put it into the bed, just like that. Okay, so I also took more Agrothrive and went over it again and put more Agrothrive in there. And right down in here, I have all of those microbes in the water. Hopefully all that powder would soak in overnight, and then I'll water on top of all that. And then I'll go ahead and add some more compost and stuff over that. So with that said, back at you. Okay, hey, this is Sam back at you again. Okay, I'm gonna give you some tips to make your raised bed stronger. Now, I've seen online that on the ends, a lot of people just take this one 4x4 and this one 4x4 and screw it into those beam 4x4s on the sides, and they don't take the time to put the down ones over here and over there. Now, the reason why I framed in this whole side and then put it on is because it makes it stronger. If you only have this one and this one, there's no downward support and there's no lean support, which means it is possible for this to kind of shift over a little bit. But when it's squared in and framed in like a house like that, it makes it that much stronger. So after initially I did the prototype, did that end and this end, and I'm going to cut these off. Obviously, I'm going to cut the pipes off after I'm done with all of them. But you see how sturdy this is? I slid the inserts there. So if I ever want to take this out, I just pull these out and pull that out. Now for this, I was using these screws to screw them in from this 2x4 to this 2x4, which is great. But now what I'm doing is I'm putting another one right there, and I'm backing this one out, and I'm putting another one there, and that goes straight through. Oops. That goes straight through to the 2x4 on the other side, so it's really strong this way. So that's why I'm using the 4-inch screws. You could go 4 1/4 if you want, or even 5-inch, because it's going into the long beam. But what I'm also doing, I feel that the 4 is strong enough, is I'm drilling out the hole, which goes into through this 2x4, through this 2x4, and into the other one. And the reason why I'm doing that is so the wood don't split. And when this goes through, it will go into the fresh meat like that. So it's holding on the back side, but you don't need to go through this and this with the actual threads, because that has a chance of splitting it. You just go into the back one. So anyway, I'm out here first thing in the morning. I'm going to put the drill bit on. And this is how I'm doing it. Okay, so you can see right here, I'm going to go ahead and take this and line it up with the back 2x4 right here. And down here too. I'm going to remove this. And now go ahead and put this one in right here. And then put the bottom one in. Now I'm going to remove this one. And I'm going to remove this one. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to drill right where this one was. And I'm going to drill right where this one was. Now I'm going to go ahead and screw it. Screw the longer one in. And screw the 4-inch end down below. Okay, so remember, I used these here for the prototype because it goes through this 2x4 and into through this 2x4 and into this 2x4. But now I want to take this and go through this 2x4, this one, and into the other one. That way it holds it. And I'm talking the other one is this beam here. So this screw here is going to go through this, and into this beam. That's going to give it some good support. In the beginning, I just put these on the side temporary to hold this up. I could probably rip this off right now. So I'm going to take these off, but I just want to show you how I'm doing that. So with that said, let me continue. I did that whole side. Now I'm going to do this whole side, and I'm going to make it 100% permanent now. You could always unscrew them and back it off and separate them and take them apart. That's why I use screws instead of nails. Plus, nails could pull out. Screws with the threads, they hold in there better. So anyway, there's a tip. I hope it helps you out. This is my prototype. I laid all of them out, square, level, plumb, and I wanted to see what's going to work good for me. I made a couple little custom changes, and I'm showing you what my changes are to make them a little bit stronger and to my style and my design. So back at you. Okay, so I went ahead and completed my second bed. It was a little harder than the first bed because I couldn't pull the tractor in. But there's the first bed. I'm waiting for all the green to turn brown and compost and decay. Here's the second bed. I already added my microbes, so the microbes are going to get a chance to ferment and start growing. These are my other two beds. They're all ready to go right here. These are the only two I'm going to have for my spring crop. These other two over here, I'm going to compost and get those ready in the spring. For maybe the fall, they're not going to be ready. But at least I have two beds right here that are ready to go. The longer that they sit in here, the better that they're going to be. You can see the compost, and you can see the microbes that I added in there. I soaked it. Over here, I added the microbes down below. Now I just got to add some on the top. I'm just going to wait for the leaves to get about a day old so they all shrivel down. Okay, so if you have any questions on how I did this and what I put in, I think I pretty much covered it all. I'm a work person, so this is my work that I'm doing to prepare my own beds, and every now and then I put on the video to try to explain it. I'm not one for telling people how to do things. I like showing people how I do it, and then you could kind of see the success and the way that my crops turn out, because my garden is awesome, and hopefully my beds are even going to be better than my garden, or at least equivalent. Out here is where I'm going to put my sweet peppers and my hot peppers, and I'm going to put my lettuce, and I'll probably put some cabbage and, you know, things like that that I want up higher. And all the other crops in the garden will be on the ground. So I got the best of both worlds. Unfortunately, I had to take some of this really good compost that I had for about 3 years over there in my hookah culture area, because I'm short on chips right now. But that's okay. Everything that I scraped up from the hookah culture area to use in here, eventually I'll get more chips and compost them. It's just going to take you know, a lot longer to get my hookah culture area going. That's the breaks. What could you do? So anyway, I hope you got something out of this and you enjoyed it. It's probably a long video. I'm going to try to put it all in one. I kind of think it's going to be broken down into 2 parts because I went through 2 SD cards in the camera. So hey, this is Sam, the Frugal Hookah Gardener. If you liked my video, or if you just like me, give me a like, give me a share. Come on over to my Facebook page. Come on over to my Facebook group. Good bunch of people. Post some pics of your garden. Post some pics and we'll answer some questions. You know how that goes. Until next time.